Anyway, so this is in beginning of Bhagavad Gita, Mangala Charanam, that prayer. These prayers are there. So, anyway. Sorry. Thought they were in the book. Okay. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 22, Orbits of the Planets, text number 9. Okay. The moon is waxing. Sound familiar? No?
That should be a bookmark.
I think that maybe I won't do this.
Yes.
All right, we'll have a go at this. Anybody else want to try? Tat Chapuryam. Let's just do word for word. Forget it. Atam. Das. Cha. Also. Apuryam. Apuryamanabi. Gradually increasing. Cham. And. Kalabi. By the parts of the moon. Amaranam of the demigods. Shiyamanabi by gradually decreasing. Cham and Kalabi by parts of the moon. Pitrinam of those on the planet known as Pitriloka. Aharatani, the days and nights. Purvapaksha, Apara, Akshabhyam, by the period of waxing and waning. Distributing. Sarvajivani Maha of the total living entities. Anam, the life. Jiva, chief living being. Cham, also. Ekam, one after another. Nakshatram, a constellation of stars. Shata, by 30. Muhurtas. Umte, passes through. Translation: when the moon is waxing, the illuminating portions of it increase daily, thus creating day for the demigods and night for the Pitas. When the moon is waning, however, it causes night for the demigods and day for the Pitas. In this way, the moon passes through each constellation of stars in 30 muhurtas, an entire day. The moon is a source of nectarian coolness that influences the growth of food grains, and therefore the moon god is considered the life of all living entities. He is consequently called Jiva, the chief living being within the universe. Before I leave, I'd like to have, we should have an istagosti. I'd like to have an istagosti before I go. Okay, to talk about just some practical things. For example, this column here is very dirty. I don't know when it was washed last, but it needs cleaned up. And there's other observations that I've made that are kind of a practical nature. The other thing, I can't leave here without those curtains being ironed. Can't stand it, sorry. So one day we have to figure out how to put a drape around the deities, and in the afternoon, and then we'll get out to the ironing machine and have a go at it, okay? So whoever the Pujari is, or whoever, they can figure out when that's a good time, let me know. Anyway, so there's other things too. Okay, so the moon. When I was just a new bhakta, I had just recently graduated from university with a master's degree in engineering, and I was feeling a little like a scientist, right? So I wrote to Prabhupada with a request that we could make some scientific experiment to prove to the scientists the validity of Bhagavad Gita, and I suggested that we do this experiment regarding the moonshine. And just as it says in this verse, the moon is the source of nectarian coolness that influences the growth of food grains. And so I was suggesting that we make some experiment to shield some of the foodstuffs from the moonshine, and then see what kind of result that would give. Anyway, Prabhupada wrote back, you can find a letter on the database. It's a letter to Bhaktivedanta, December 1, 1973. Prabhupada wrote basically that he said the scientists, after all, they're atheistic. If they determine to remain atheistic, what can we do? He said our main aim is to prove to the innocent people that life comes from life and not from matter. So he said, so you should just prove this, it will be a very great victory. So Prabhupada wasn't really interested in proving to the scientists anything, because they have their agenda, and they may choose to remain atheistic. Even if you give them some good evidence, they won't accept it. But Prabhupada's aim was really to focus on the innocent people who are being misled by the rascal scientists. So that should be also the effort of our preaching, to help the innocent people understand life comes from life, of course, first of all, and the original life is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we should be doing this preaching in a systematic way, beginning with government officials and all the way down to the public. Do you do any preaching here to government officials?
I do a little bit.
Yeah? You're the best man for it.
I don't know. I just happen to be doing a little bit.
Anyway, you're probably the best man for it. Anyway, the senior man, you can go. And just give them Prabhupada's books, explain to them that these books, they actually help us understand how to solve the problems of life. Uttama Shloka Prabhu, disciple of Dhaneswara, maybe he comes here sometimes. No? Anyway, one very nice devotee. He's creating a spiritual United Nations for preaching to high-level people in the United Nations and so on. So basically he's presenting them with the idea of solving material problems with spiritual solutions, or spiritual solutions to material problems, something like that. And so they're working, practically speaking, at an international level, trying to bring information, not only just with the devotees, but with interreligious ideas, inviting other religious groups to participate and bring their solution, whatever it is, so that we can, convince the so-called leaders of the world the importance of spiritual, the importance of the spiritual aspect of life. So, this is, why do we have these situations today? It's because it's a godless world. And we're getting the result of a godless civilization. And so people need to be, at least we have to tell them or help them see, whether they accept or not is another thing. But we should make programs for them to help them realize the importance of understanding how the world works and the role that, just simply how the world works. It requires reciprocation. There's God or other living entities who are controlling the universal affairs. And if we don't reciprocate with them in some way, then everything kind of stops. So, anyway, this kind of, we should create some active preaching in this regard. Whether the police, the military, anybody. Now, given what everybody was saying yesterday, that there's atheism is very prevalent here. You have your work cut out for you. But nonetheless, you can present it on the basis of philosophy. For example, following in Buddha Karma's footsteps, I thought I'd try to make some presentations about spiritual economics to some academic conferences. So I submitted abstracts to several of these conferences. And basically presenting the idea is Sankhya philosophy. That Sankhya philosophy gives us some ideas about how to see our world in a different way, and thus may offer some insights that will be helpful for us in solving our problems. It didn't say a word about God, didn't say anything about Bhagavad Gita, just talking about Sankhya philosophy, and they don't even know what that is. So, in fact, many times when I go to schools, they say, you can't talk about religion here. I say, that's okay, we're going to talk about Sankhya philosophy. So, the nature of the soul, how the soul is in the body, how this world is working with it, we just call that Sankhya philosophy. Anyway, so I submitted 3 abstracts, and 2 of them were accepted. I was quite surprised. So I'll be going to several academic conferences this summer. One to the Association of Heterodox Economists in London next month, and then the other one to the European Sociological Association in August in Italy. So we have to take this knowledge to the people in general. This is our job, our duty, preaching, to help them understand. Maybe you don't present the 5th canto to them right off the bat. It's a little challenging for the devotees. But like I said, we can do it in many other ways that, let's say, it won't immediately offend their sensibilities. It's really a matter of choosing language. What kind of language, we don't even have to say God, we can say, they like the word source now, right? The source of everything, okay. Sarvakarnam Karna, Sarvakarna Karna, the cause of all causes, or the original source. So we can use language like that. And by changing the language, in fact, in many cases, what you can do is use the definition of the word instead of the word itself. And then people won't trip up over the idea of what their preconceived idea of what the word is. What happens in language is that words become encapsulated with a specific meaning according to the context of modern society. And if you use that word, of course, the Vedic, Gita and Bhagavatam and Prabhupada, they use these words in a different way. Or they have, let's say, a vastly different meaning than most people put behind them. For example, God, the word God. Most people, they just, what's that mean? Supreme being of some kind. They don't have any clue. Because, the Judeo-Christian traditions, they can't explain that. But for us, God means Bhagavan, means Krishna. We know what he looks like, where he lives, what his qualities are. There's so much more behind that. So if we use instead of just using the word, we use the translation of the word, or the dictionary meaning of the word. The cause of all causes, or the source, something like that. Then people don't get tripped up over just the language. And then gradually they can be brought around to understanding the deeper meaning behind all of these things. Do we go to any schools, universities? Yeah.
We have quite some school programs. Yes, and we have also some, quite a few university students coming here.
Good. Young people, of course, they're a little more open-minded, especially very young children. If you go to grade school, maybe. In the UK, one of my godbrothers, Dushanta, he's a Hindu minister. And in the UK, the law is that they have to teach the grade school children all the different religions. And so he goes to the grade schools and he presents Krishna consciousness to them. And with the idea of, maybe he talks a little bit about Hinduism, but he gives the basic idea. And so he's always busy, going from school to school all the time to do that. So these programs can be done, even here, even if the government doesn't have some official program. Take some initiative to do some preaching like that and reach out to people.
We have just printed flyers to send out to all the schools to offer similar lectures there, or invite them here.
Yeah, good. And so there's different ways to do that. We just apply ourselves and start thinking. Krishna will give us a lot of different ideas. You can go to the military men, talk to them about Kshatriya Dharma. The devotees had a seminar in Italy last month or earlier this month on Kshatriya Dharma. And so, for military men, okay, good. You're a strong man, you like to fight, okay, what do you fight for? There's an idea of protecting Dharma. And so that's another way to preach, to help these men understand the difference between right and wrong, and what you should support and what not. So we have to extend ourselves, we have to reach out, we have to, it's not just enough just to sit here in the temple and collect some donations and have some eating and sleeping going on. But we have to endeavor to take Krishna consciousness to the people and help them understand whatever way they can. There's different devotees who, another way that's become quite popular is in the yoga studios. Right? You go there for kirtan, you take kirtan, so if anybody plays harmonium, you go there and you do some kirtan. And they're all into it, practically. And then you can tell them about what's the Jolly Yoga system, educate them in that, because their teachers, all they know is the exercises, they don't really know anything beyond that. And a lot of these yoga students are going like, well, there must be something more to this, right? instead of thinking that, simply doing downward facing dog is some kind of spiritual activity. So there's many opportunities to reach out and preach. We have to find a link. Of course, vegetarian cooking is another one. Cooking classes. Many people want to become vegetarian. When at the Copenhagen Business School program last Sunday, I mentioned in part of my lecture about adopting a vegetarian diet as a means of increasing the sattva guna. And when I did that, a big round of applause went up, and everybody was very enthusiastic about that. The people that were there, they were appreciating that. So that's another way. And you may have your own experience, but my experience was I tried to be a vegetarian before I met the devotees, and it was pretty hard because you get tired of cheese sandwiches and tomato soup after a while. That's all you know how to cook, right? So if you give cooking classes, find some place to give cooking classes, that's another one. So these are bridges. People need to have a connection between what their world is and this world of Krishna consciousness. And because otherwise it all appears too foreign for them, and so they don't know where to grab onto it. Even though if there's something that they may be interested in, they don't know how to connect. So we have to build those bridges. Another one that might be popular, or might be useful, is about reincarnation. So somebody said, was it last night, that a lot of people in Denmark, that they're atheists, but they believe in reincarnation. However that works, I don't know. But, okay, so they accept reincarnation, so there's a lot of videos on YouTube. I was doing some research for one of my books and looking at near-death experiences, and then there's some of them, the people they describe going to hell. And there's one fellow I wrote, or in his book, 25 years ago, maybe more, maybe 30 years, more than 30 years ago. He was a cardiologist, a heart doctor, and he had one of his patients on the treadmill doing a stress test. He had him all wired up to EKG and so on, and so as he was running. And then the guy had a massive heart attack right there, right? And so, okay, no problem, the doctor's right here, he gives him CPR, right? So he's pushing on his chest and then blows in the mouth like this. And then when he stops pushing on the chest and blowing in the mouth, the guy says, "Don't stop, I'm in hell." And the guy was like completely freaked out, right? And the doctor could see like, whoa, there's something going on here, right? And so after he revived the guy explained his experience to him that he was in hell, and whenever he pumped on his chest, he would come back from hell back into the body, but then when he stopped to blow in the mouth, then he'd go back to hell. So he'd go back and forth like this for a while. So this doctor, who had been an atheist prior to that, was very taken by this experience, and he decided to investigate how many people go to hell. And usually you hear the near-death experiences about people going to the light, right? They go to heaven and they see Jesus or somebody, and that's cool. I mean, you come back and say, "Yeah, I saw Jesus." So, but who wants to come back and say, "I went to hell"? So you don't find too many of those people. But anyway, he found 3 or 4 of them, which he put in the book. Different experiences. One was a biker, some bad dude who went to hell in a lake of fire and saw all his old